There are people who complain, there are those who solve problems, and then you're part of those who have chosen to solve problems. And this is also why this group exists, because we don't just want to be part of the lawyers who complain about not getting dream roles or not being able to get the career, dream roles of that we want. We want to be those who put in the effort to make sure that we are gaining the necessary knowledge in order to apply and also secure these roles. Thank you so much for that. So right now we'll be delving into the questions that we have curated. While, like I said, the chat box is open, so please feel free to ask your question. So the first one I want to ask, right, is this: for entry-level candidates, how do you weigh strong academic performance against things like internship, extracurricular involvement, and then demonstrated leadership? So imagine, say for instance, someone doesn't graduate with a first class or even a 2-1, and then you have a second class upper. How are you able to, as a recruiter, how do you, but then the person has a, let's say a 2-2, but then you see that leadership, they are there, their CV is filled with a lot of things they've been doing: internships, extracurricular involvement, taking leadership roles in different things that kind of relates to the career. So how do you weigh this? And then does it mean that because they don't have a first class or a 2-1, it's still a no? Or like, we just want to know how it's been assessed.
Okay, so I think one um major point that I would like to put forward before any and every other comment that I make today is that many of my responses, many of my POVs are not one size fits all. Um, then I'll start with this question so that you can see what I'm trying to say. So today, where I work, and actually for where I have worked all through my about 8 years of experience in the world of work, we do not prioritize candidates based on the grade level that they graduated with, um, or the class they graduated with, say first class 2-1, 2-2. That's never been a major consideration at any of the places that I worked. But that does not mean that there are not organizations that prioritize this. In fact, there are some organizations that will not speak to candidates that graduated with grade levels that are lower than 2-1. All right. So that's why I said what I said. That my response to some questions are not what is prevalent in every organization. So please bear that in mind. Now to the question, to give more context to it. We live in a world of work where the focus on skills is getting increasingly higher, right? So organizations are looking for people who can actually do the work, right? Irrespective of the grade level that they graduated with from school, right? So when I see a CV, when I'm interviewing a candidate, I don't look forward to. I don't think I've ever paid that. I don't. I literally don't think throughout my years of experience working, I have ever paid attention to what, or I've ever asked that question from any candidate that I've interviewed. So I'm more around, oh, what can you do? What have you done? What are the skills that you have, right? That actually um are relevant for the role that you're applying for. And I think it would be nice for me to strike a balance here, or for me to speak holistically here, um, which will drive me to the point to say that graduating with a good grade, first class 2-1, majorly, is what people consider as a good grade, is a great asset. It's very good because, like I've mentioned, there's some opportunities that you might not be able to access if you don't have a first class or a 2-1. There's some organizations that are hell bent on only engaging candidates who have a 2-1 or a first class, right? So that is a good asset. However, you not graduating with a 2-1 or a first class doesn't mean that you won't get a job or you won't even get a dream job. Case in point, me speaking to you today, I graduated with a 2-2. My first degree, I had a 2-2 before I went for my MBA, and then I had a first class, right? A distinction rather in my MBA. So I said that to say that I already started working before I had my MBA. And in fact, even this job that I'm currently working on, it wasn't because of my MBA that I got the job. Nobody even asked what I graduated with, what grade I graduated with in my MBA or my first degree. So I said that to say that yes, having a 2-1, having a first class will give you access to some opportunities. You not having such grades doesn't mean that, oh, there's no hope for you in the world of work. There's still a huge hope for you. It's just that you now have to focus a whole lot on acquiring those skills that are actually needed for the role that you're interested in. Because, quote and unquote, the world of work is already leading you 1-0. If you graduate with a third class or a 2-2, I'm sorry if you don't understand the French I just spoke, but what I meant is, compared to other candidates, you might be at a disadvantage if you have, say, a class, you graduate with a class like a 2-2 or a third class, right? That's what I'm trying to say. So you have to now look for something that will make you to be able to at least stay in competition with such other candidates that have such grades like that. So you have to really focus a lot on skills, right? So that's what I look out for. That's what many companies, many organizations look out for. Actually, the skills to actually do the job. The experience that you've had, maybe not within a structured four wall of an organization. It might just be projects that you've done. Maybe it's an entry level or an internship that you're applying for. And it's not necessarily a core requirement for you to have a structured experience within the fall of an organization, but you probably have done a project before for a course that you did, not a course within in school. I mean a course outside school, an online course, or even a physical course that is outside the four walls of a university of a college. So you have such projects you've done, you have such real life skills that you've done. Those will give you an advantage, or they will give you a competitive edge, a competitive standpoint, right? When you are competing with talents or candidates that have graduated with, say, a grade like first class or a 2-1. So that's basically what I look out for, and what the organizations that I've worked with look out for. Essentially, we really want to know if if you have an idea of the job that you're applying for. And like I said, I think I've been able to put a balance. There are some organizations that are strictly looking for 2-1 and first class guys. So please, if by any means you have someone who hasn't graduated from school, you can always advise them. Don't say, oh, Emmanuel said that, oh, it's absolutely fine if you don't graduate with a 2-1 or first class, blah, blah, blah. If you have someone who is still in school, please let him or her try all they can, try all their best to actually graduate with a very good grade, because that's also give an edge for some roles.
Okay, thank you very much for that response. And I love how you like put a balance to it, that okay, it's still very important if you can to graduate with a good grade, but then in the event that you are not able to, then getting the required skills and the experience. Because I was going to ask, but then you answered in because of because of giving your answer, where you said that for entry level roles, by doing things like internships and then gaining experience, even if it involves volunteering roles, in order to be able to gain the necessary experience to apply and also be right candidate for the role. So thank you very much for that answer. And the next question I would like to ask, I think it flows from the question that you just responded to. when it comes to, let's say the candidate has gotten the right skills and the experience that they need to now apply for this role, despite being an entry level or whether having a a good grade or not. How do you assess candidates when it comes to confidence? Does it matter if a candidate, there are two candidates now, one appears to be extremely confident, but when you check, they don't really like have it. But then another person with lower confidence, but then when you dig further, you see that okay, this person kind of knows their onion more than the other person. So in this instance, and let's say they both have the same grades, the same skills, the same experience. So you have to choose now based on the presentation during that interview experience. Are you going to go for someone who sorry, I kind of contradicted myself. The other one with less confidence has more experience, a better grade, but this one that appears to be extremely confident doesn't have as much experience as the other one. So who are you going to like go with in the event that you have to choose between these two candidates?
Okay, so context. So this I was having a random conversation with a fellow HR professional sometime yesterday or the day before. We were just like, well, we need to put out a course or a course titled HR for non-HRs. So that's basically having people that don't practice HR have an idea of how HR works. And the reason I said that is I need to put out the context of a caveat out that the recruiter doesn't make the sole decision when it comes to hiring a candidate. So I want to just put that out. And the reason I'm putting that out, I'm going to get it in the course of responding to this question. When I am faced with a situation, say probably I'm just in a screening chat alone, it's just me that is screening this candidate. It's not even a proper technical interview where I have other individuals join me on the call. It's just probably a recruiter screening chat, me and the candidate alone. When I am faced with such a situation where this candidate A, who has confidence but not as much experience, and then this candidate B, the CV looks quite solid, the LinkedIn profile looks good, the portfolio looks okay as well, but the confidence isn't there. The truth is, so depends on the role. Like I said, context again. So please pay so much attention to the context that I'm giving to whatever response I'm giving, so that I can be able to really understand how the hiring process goes and essentially how talent acquisition works. So depends on the role, number one. If it's an entry level role, of course, I'll most likely be going for the candidate who has much confidence compared to the one who doesn't have enough confidence, but the CV and the profile and blah 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 looks good. And I'll tell you why. The reason is for an entry level role. I put out a post on LinkedIn this week, I think on Tuesday or Wednesday, and I was saying something about the fact that for an entry level interview, what you need two basic things, or maybe three. Number one is just a good foundational idea of the role that you're applying for. You don't not nothing special. You don't need to sound so perfect, so solid yet. It's just an entry level role. And then number two, willingness to learn. You are open. It's obvious that oh, this person wants to learn. This person is not claiming to be perfect when they're not, right? And then number three is confidence, which brings me to why I'll choose the candidate A over candidate B. That confidence is so important, such that the little that you know, you're able to speak about it well. Context again, this is the recruiter screening chat. This is just between me and the candidate. I'll be proud enough to put you forward to be interviewed by other members of the team. So you are applying for a role in the legal team at where I work. I have to first of all speak with you. That's the recruiter screening call I'm talking about. To just have an idea of what you know, if I should actually recommend you to speak with the members of the legal team at where I work, because that's a part of the process. That's a part of the interview process. I won't just speak with you and then I'll say, okay, I've spoken with this person. I'll send out an offer to him or her. No, the team that you are going to be joining has to also speak with you. I mean, the candidate has to speak with the candidate. So for me to speak with a talent, a candidate, and the person doesn't know so much but has confidence, I will have confidence in that candidate. So there's a way that your confidence in yourself will make other people have confidence in you, right? And I want you to really pay attention to what I just said, because it's not just, I'm not trying to play with words. It's actually a fact of life. There's a way when you actually have confidence in yourself, it inspires other people to have, because they just assume that you have, there's something that you are confident about. And many times perception is stronger than reality. So they just perceive that this person confident about themselves, they must have a reason, a basis for it. And then they have confidence in you too. So I will have confidence in you that if I push you forward to the next stage, which is to speak with the technical interviewers, the members of the legal team that are on the interview panel, you'll be able to speak and respond and share solid points, as opposed to someone who the profile appears good, the CV appears good, the LinkedIn profile appears good and whatnot, but he or she isn't confident enough. I won't be confident in you. And I'll tell you a major reason why. We live in a day and age where people use AI to write CVs, and they are literally writing things that they have no understanding, no idea about. They are writing tools that they have never used before. They don't even know. So you are literally sitting in an interview with a candidate and you're asking the candidate, "Oh, can you briefly explain your talk about your experience with Notion?" And then the candidate asking you, "Notion, sorry, please, I'm not sure I get your question." Oh, I seen your CV. This is me painting a scenario. I seen your CV that you stated Notion as one of the tools that you've used before in your previous experience. So can you please share your experience around using Notion as a project management tool? And then the person's like, "Oh, Notion is in my CV. Oh, I'm sorry. So, I'm not particularly sure I remember. Blah blah blah." I know that that person probably just used ChatGPT to craft their CV, or outsource their CV creation to a CV creation expert who just bombarded the CV with both tools that they've used and they've not used, right? So there are such scenarios like that. So for such scenarios to exist, I'll be thinking that I'm the person that doesn't have confidence and the CV looks great. Probably the CV is a what we ordered versus what we got scenario. This person doesn't really have what it takes. He or she just bombarded their CVs with jargons, with a lot of information that they actually cannot defend. So that's the scenario of actually speaking with an entry-level candidate. I'll go over the candidate who has much confidence and little experience and little knowledge over a candidate that the CV looks so packed, but the confidence is not there. That's the scenario where I'm speaking with an entry level candidate. But if I'm speaking with an experienced hire, I'm speaking with someone who, for instance, is meant to lead a team, I'm not going to go with any of the two candidates. Thank you. Next question.
Thank you so much for that answer. And then you speaking about people using AI to use them to do their CVs. I mean, now everybody's encouraging us to use AI for everything. So I guess this is a question that just came now to my head. Do you have a problem? Do you think recruiters would have a problem with us using AI to make our CVs better? That's when we have, of course, we would have confidence while in the interview, but are you able to just know that, oh, this is an AI CV and put it aside, or you would still give it the same attention that you would give to a CV that looks drafted by a human being completely?
Okay. So like I had said, like probably my introduction to this conversation is many of the responses I give or I'll give are what applies to me. So when it comes to using AI or tools generally to optimize your CV, to optimize your profile, whatever, I don't have any single issue with it. In fact, I started saying this since last year that there will come a day and age, a time where having experience with certain AI tools will literally be part of the job requirement. That literally you see jobs that will literally ask you that part of the requirement is or ability to use ChatGPT for XYZ, ability to use Gemini for XYZ, ability to use this particular AI tool for XYZ. We are coming to that day and age, and you can mark it. I've been saying this last year. You will literally start seeing it in job adverts, in job descriptions, right? So I am one of the HR professionals who have absolutely no issue with it. But like I've said, this is just for me and probably a couple other HR professionals. Some HR professionals actually have a problem with using AI tools. Those who haven't grown up to know that even the computer that I'm using today was seen as a disruptive invention at some point. Those who haven't grown up to know that Microsoft Word and the likes were seen to be disruptive tools at some point. It was typewriters that people were using at some point to type, to write documents, to create documents. But now you have the likes of Microsoft Word, you have the likes of Google Docs and others, right? So I don't have an issue with any AI tool because I see that that's where we are heading to on a large scale. We are already there, but I'm saying we're heading there on a very large scale. Whilst that is out of the way, there are, like I've said, there are other HR professionals, recruiters, talent acquisition guys, employers that have issues with it. So my general advice, and a major reason, before I go to my general advice, that they have issues with it is many of us professionals are suspending the use of our brains for these AI tools. So we are suspending creativity, we are suspending reviewing whatever it is that we use the AI tools to generate. We are suspending those things such that our documents, our designs, whatever it is that we use the AI tools for, are completely looking so generic, number one, so mechanic, number two, such that there's no human dynamics to it, there's no creativity to it. And many times there are blunders in them because we didn't review. You're seeing someone coming up with a cover letter, applying for a role, and the cover letter goes like this: hiring manager, I am delighted to apply for open brackets role title close brackets at open brackets your organization close brackets, right? Because the person did not know or didn't pay attention to the fact that they had to review whatever it is that they use the AI for. It's meant to be something to assist you, not to replace you. An AI tool is meant to assist you, not replace you. It's meant to assist your thought process, not replace it. Right. So that's the balance that I think we should put into whatever it is that we use AI tools for. Review it. In fact, how I use AI tools is I come up with my own suggestions. Oh, this is what my thought process is. Create XYZ based on this thought process. So my thought is what is generating whatever the AI tool is coming up with as a end product. That's number one. Number two, at the end, I'm also reviewing whatever it is that was generated using that AI tool. So I think that balance has to be in place. Whatever AI tool you're using, for whatever purpose, across whatever role that you're working in, please, number one, ensure that your thought process is infused in the creative process as much as possible. Number two, revise whatever production you get from the AI tool. So that's the balance that I would like to put for that.
Oh, that's so much to take from there. Like take away from there is so much. Like I was writing down where you said that AI tool is actually meant to assist your thought process and not replace you. I think this is what a lot of us really need to know this in this time and age, because similarly, I also had an experience where I was reviewing an application for a scholarship for a senior colleague who runs a scholarship program for people into law school. And then one of the applicants, his his personal statement, he puts after he wrote his name and everything, there was brackets, and then there was that thing where you are like organization slash institution and all. Like he couldn't even take time to like review it, do that. And I was
Yeah.
just like, once I saw that, it was just a no. Like it was just very
Mm.
easy for me to decide that this is a no, and we're not going with this person. So okay, thank you so much for that. And I hope that participants are really taking notes, because these are key values that would help us in going further when it comes to applying, or even in the current roles that we occupy. Then you mentioned something, my next question, you mentioned something about LinkedIn and all. So I want to really know, when it comes to LinkedIn and other digital platforms, social media platforms, what is your take on this? Like, would you consider a candidate who has a very great LinkedIn profile? You see that, or when you open their LinkedIn, they're active, they're writing, they're publishing. Does it really count when it comes to you choosing a candidate for a role, or does it's just one of those things? Or would you say it can leave a lasting impression when you're trying to make a decision as to whether or not this candidate should be invited for the interview?
Okay, so for I'll generally call it online presence. It really doesn't make so much difference to me in terms of solidifying or lending credence to what a person knows or what a person can do. So I'm not going to say, oh, because the person posts a lot on LinkedIn, blah 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 blah. And even if they don't meet the basic requirements for a role that I'm hiring for, I just take them through the process and just believe that because they talk a lot, they know a lot. That doesn't apply every time, right? That's one. Two is we live in a day and age where sadly a lot of people have so much noise with little substance. So online presence doesn't really serve as a a pass mark, at least in my own point of view, right? However, I am not saying that online presence is completely useless. It helps. One major benefit of having a good online presence. By the way, I think I should also mention context. There are some rules that online presence can actually show that you know what you are doing. For instance, social media rules. So if I'm looking for a social media rule, of course, whatever you're writing online is like a major consideration. How you engage with your community, what sort of content you put out. Even you doing that alone is a pass mark because that's what I'm looking for. Right. So that's context. So I like putting whatever I say in perspective, in context, so that you're not left with more questions after your questions. Excuse me. But on just a general note, for rules that probably don't have to do with social media content, blah 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 blah, your online presence is not like a a killer a killer um competitive advantage for you. No, just like I just see that and then I just say, oh yes, this person has to be good. No, and I've given reasons for that. However, I was saying that there's a major advantage to that, and a major advantage to having a good online presence is it makes you top of mind. I have engaged with your content as a legal professional over a while, and I have a role that I'm working on, or somebody just reaches out to me that, please, can you recommend any legal person that you think would be great, blah, blah, blah. Most likely your profile will come to mind because probably I'd even seen a post from you the day before or that same day. Oh, I'll say, oh, this is guy I know on LinkedIn, or this is lady I know on LinkedIn that writes a lot around this topic. Whilst I'll most likely put the caveat or the disclaimer that whilst I'm not saying that she's great because she writes a lot or he's great because he writes a lot, but he or she came to mind, and I think that it would be nice to at least speak with him or her. So having a good online presence one major advantage is that it makes you top of mind to recruiters, to employers. They see you out there and they probably just want to even hear from you. But that doesn't mean that, oh, because you have a good online presence, they just would automatically assume that you know what you are saying. No, a lot of people are saying a lot of things that they don't know. They can't defend, they can't implement, maybe because ChatGPT or any AI tool help them to write, or they just even simply copied and pasted without crediting the original thoughts leader. So yeah, that would be my thought process for that question.
Thank you so much. So there's one thing that you said that I would like to like reiterate, that online presence kind of makes you top of mind, while
Yes.
you also acknowledge that it's not like it's the because you write online and then the next thing they will just, of course, if it makes you top of mind, then it means you have to then prove that okay, what you're writing is not ChatGPT, or you didn't just copy and paste it, but you actually know what you are doing. So thank you. I feel like that uh, now would be really, we're willing to take questions from the house. So if you have questions, you might want to raise your hand, or if you're not comfortable with that, you want to drop it in the chat box so we can read it to our speaker. I don't know which um, participants would be more comfortable with. Okay, so there's John Ayodeji. You can speak, please.
All right, good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon to the facilitator, the convener, and the host of the session this afternoon. Sincere gratitude to everyone. John Ayodeji is my name, a graduate from the Faculty of Law at State University. My question goes exactly this way, and it's regarding the place of connection and networking. This insider thought of you are probably having an inside the perfect word to use now. There's a lack of perfect word anyways, but I just hope you have the understanding of what I mean. That is, you have like an insider, yes, perfectly, an insider who is in the organization, and you the individual is trying to help you with these things, and unfortunately you are someone who is just hoping, probably hanging on God I beg, and a sort of, let me just believe that my certifications will help me go a long way. How do you maneuver yourself through this phase, sir?
Sorry, you retrace that question just like a brief summary so that I'm responding to the right thing.
Sorry, were you requesting something from me?
Yes, please. Can you retrace the question?
All right.
I'm not sure I get
All right, very well.
the.
Very well. Now, my question is the place of having an insider in an organization. Probably, let's say you want to work in Seplat now, and you are hoping to get recruited, but then there is the place of having an insider, probably someone working in the HR. How do you maneuver yourself through this phase? And should you be balancing the two? That let me be scouting for whoever I know in the organization, or building an outside relationship with the HR, and then still be building my CV, bombarding my cover letter, or I just want to know how to maneuver this scenario.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Landing a role has many ingredients. Um, there is networking, there is competence, there is. Okay,
Okay.
so let me just continue. So I was saying that to land a role, it's a mix of various ingredients. It's just like cooking your favorite dish. I doubt there's any single dish that you're making that doesn't involve any other thing. At least it will involve fire or something. At least there's just something that would involve. But let's say we assume that your favorite meal is fried rice, just like my favorite meal is fried rice. Um, and then you put your, fried rice has quite a number of ingredients. Yeah, you have your green peas, you have your sweet corn, you have your onions that you use at some point, you have your rice, you have your curry, your thyme, and of course, you have your liver, which it appears a lot of people are not putting liver in fried rice anymore. I don't know what happened. I guess probably the economy, but liver is a major part of fried rice for me. So just like fried rice having a whole lot of ingredients that makes it fried rice, landing a role has quite a number of ingredients that help you to achieve that. Competence, one of it; networking, another of it; online presence, like I mentioned, makes you top of the mind to some people. They just remember you and then they reach out to you that, oh, there's this opportunity I think it might be a good fit for. Um, Confidence during interviews is another part of it as well. Being well put together in terms of your CV, in terms of your application generally, is another part of the pie, right? So I said that to say that it's not necessarily drop one, take the other when it comes to competence and then networking. You are cooking fried rice, so you have to put salt, Maggie. You don't necessarily have to say, I don't feel like putting salt today, let me just put Maggie alone. I don't feel like putting Maggie today, let me just put salt alone. To have a well cooked fried rice, you have to put the necessary seasonings or ingredients there. Right. So the same thing applies to landing your role. So you don't have to say, oh, I have to choose between networking and competence. In fact, the people who are able to have as much ingredients in their job application process many times end up landing the role. Right? They are good, their confidence, the network, they just do as many things that will put them at a competitive advantage over other applicants. Right? So that's one point that I should note. However, so I like putting a lot of perspective to responses so that I don't leave you confused. Like I've said, I think I mentioned it earlier on as well. However, this doesn't mean that all of these ingredients will be available every time. There's sometimes that there's some ingredients you might not have, but ensure that those ingredients that you don't have, they are not must-have ingredients. Like I've said, some people, back to my analogy of fried rice, some people don't, for some reason, don't put liver in fried rice again. I don't know what happened. Well, again, I'll say probably the economy. Whilst that is fine, that you can have fried rice that, oh, there's sweet corn, there's green peas, there's some put shrimps inside their fried rice, and there's no liver. While that is fine, while that can happen, you can't have a well-cooked fried rice without salt. So there are some ingredients that are must-haves. Back to your question. While you might not know someone at Seplat, you might not know someone at Google, you might not know someone at Microsoft, which is good that you know, probably so that such people can refer you. Maybe there's quite a wide range of applications that they've received, and then they can always refer you. The person that you know there can always say, oh yes, there's this role you put out. I know that you must have received tons of applications and you might not be able to review them, but there's this person that I know, profile is actually, that's their experience and profile very sound. Please review their profile and probably interview them. Whilst you might not have that, there are some basic things that you must have. Number one, competence. Number two, confidence. Number three, well put out application. Your CV neat. Following instruction in applying, 100% important. Your online portfolio presence or profile, whatever, also important. There are some interviewers today, especially executives, that they probably wouldn't even check your CV. They just want to see what your LinkedIn looks like. And I'm not saying what I think. I'm saying what I've experienced. I don't just want to go into details because of confidentiality reasons. They probably wouldn't even check your CV. They just go online, check your LinkedIn profile, and just get as much information. So all of those things that you have control over and that are important, ensure that you tick them 10 over 10. And then if you don't know anybody in-house, you don't need to kill yourself over it. I'll end my response with this point. All the places that I've worked up till today, I didn't know anyone in there before I got the role. No one in there referred me for the role before I got it. Every single place that I worked up till today. So I thought to mention that. Not saying that networking is not important again, but it is just like liver in your fried rice. If you don't have it, it's fine. If you have it, oh, fantastic. But if you don't have it, you can still have a good fried rice as long as you have salt and every other ingredient that are must-have ingredients. I hope that answers your question.
Yes, very well. Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much for that response. Please, do we have any other question? Does anyone want to ask? You can just raise your hand and then floor will be open to you. Okay, so I have a question that I would like to ask. Hi, Manuel, can you hear? Okay, so there's this thing when recruiters say we'll keep, let's say you've gone through the entire process, first stage, second stage, third stage interview, and then they'll tell you that, oh, we're impressed and all, but unfortunately we had to move on with another candidate, but we'll keep your CV on file. What exactly does that mean for us? Like, and then is it like a future opportunity that, okay, just wait one day they might call you, or that's just a way of saying goodbye, like professional, a way of rejecting you?
Okay, so I think I'll start from situations that can make this sort of response, that can make you as a candidate get this sort of response. So, because for me to lay that foundation will now help you to know probably possible outcomes after you get such a response. So there are quite a number of scenarios that could play out across different organizations. Different organizations have different prevailing practices, processes, policies, and whatnot. There are quite a number of scenarios, like I said, that could play out that could make you receive such communication from a prospective employer. Number one could be that, oh, they actually got a candidate that is way stronger than you are, while you are a very good very good runner up. Your profile, they have absolutely nothing, no issue with your profile, but they got a candidate who probably just had a little more. Probably the tool that the candidate had used is the tool that the software that they currently use in the organization. So they feel, we going with this candidate would make more sense than the other candidates. Both of them performed excellently well, the same level, but this person has used this particular tool that we use. So it'll be easier for him or her to get onboarded with our processes, with our in-house processes, right? That could be a reason. Or maybe the candidate has the salary expectation of that candidate is works with the budget, right? Or is more cost effective for the organization, right? So that could be one reason. Maybe you're a close run out. Second reason could be that there's a change in direction and they're not able to tell you. And this is me leaking a secret, right? Probably something happened along the line. They had gotten approval for the role to be hired for, but then something happened along the line, a policy change or a change in strategy, a change in strategy from the board, from the management that, oh, yes, we wanted to expand into this region before, and so we wanted to get an expansion associate. or a growth associate in that region. So Google wanted to expand into Nigeria. Okay, Google is in Nigeria actually. Tesla wanted to expand into Nigeria, for instance, um, operationally. I mean, they want to have probably a factory in Nigeria, for instance, a production factory in Nigeria. So that was from the board, the management strategy. The board approved it, and then because of that, they were hiring some people in Nigeria. And then after a while, after some 2 months or 1 month after that decision was made, and they've started reaching out to candidates, they've started interviewing candidates, something happened. There was a change. From the leadership. They feel, oh, maybe a security concern, terrorist attacks, for instance, maybe it increased. And then the board is saying, I don't think this would be a wise business decision, especially because we wanted to situate this facility in so and so region, and that region is now being attacked by terrorists. So we probably will just take this role away from Nigeria to Kenya, for instance. That's a change in direction that has absolutely nothing to do with you. You have probably even gotten to the last stage. A good example just came to mind. Sometime in 2022, I think 2022, between 2021 and 2023, I think. Yeah, I think 2021 or 2022. Meta was doing a lot of hiring of engineers. I think they had a goal to hire about 1,500 or 1,000 engineers, and they were recruiting guys. I don't know if you heard about this. They were recruiting guys from Nigeria, from other regions as well. They actually got people they flew people, they moved people outside Nigeria to UK, for instance, and probably one or two other countries. And then after like a month or so, that program or whatever it is, it crashed. So that was when they were really big on this metaverse, and they had to change their name from Facebook to Meta. So they were big on planning around metaverse, blah 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 blah. All these old conversations about NFTs and the likes and metaverse was really, really brewing. So they had huge plans for the metaverse then. But then there was a change in strategy, and those people, many of the engineers that they hired, they had to withdraw the offer. That thing was really trending then and made a wreck of a lot of people's career at that point. That's part of what we're saying. So, as such situations where there are strategic changes, you can get such emails that, oh, we're so, of course, they can't just tell you that, oh, this is the reason. So you drag them online. They just look for English way to just package it in such a way that you won't feel bad. You won't feel that, oh, it's something you did wrong. And then also, they won't also be painted in a bad light that they didn't strategize well. And then they just led you on in quotes. And then they ended the process abruptly. So this is another reason. What other reasons? Sometimes as well, the roles could actually be filled internally, which of course is not the external candidate's fault. You should have thought about filling the role internally before posting it externally. But sometimes some situations just happen sometimes, and then a, an employee from within the organization just says, "Oh, I see people post this role externally. Please, I would like to be considered for the role." And then the hiring manager says, "Oh, it will be faster for us to bring you on board. It will be low cost to the company, blah, 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 blah." And then they just make the change internally. So that could be another reason, amongst a host of other reasons. So that's why you could get such emails. So I give those contexts to say that many times those emails are actually genuinely that you will actually be kept in the pipeline for future opportunities. There's a role I'm working on currently. There was a candidate that we had interviewed sometime last year or 2 years ago for a particular region, but we strategized, we weren't hiring for that region again. So the candidate was kept in the pipeline. Now we are hiring for that region, and then the conversation is now on to resume conversations with that particular candidate because candidate was actually good. So many times those emails are actually solid emails that we are actually putting you in pipeline for a future need. I'm not saying 100% of the times they are valid, whatever. Sometimes some organizations are just putting it out for just whatever reason. They are not going forward with you. They are not going forward with you. But sometimes they're actually genuinely putting you in view or keeping you in view for future opportunities. I see someone's hand raised. Is it a follow-up question on this? If it's not, Lois, you can take over.
Okay, thank you so much for that response. So, Stephen, your hands are raised. I'm guessing you have a question.
Yes, good afternoon, sir. Good afternoon,
Good
everyone.
afternoon.
I want to ask two questions. I don't know if you can still hear me.
Yes.
All right. So my question is one of my question is how effective is recommendation in an in-house role or getting an in-house role? That's my first question. That is how
So how do you
effective.
mean? How do you mean recommendation? Someone who's working in the organization recommends an external candidate, or you are saying an internal employees recommending themselves or putting themselves forward for a role? Is that what you're saying? Which of them?
Like an external, not an internal employee, an
Oh, okay,
external
okay.
person recommending
Okay. Let
somebody.
me respond to that.
Okay.
So that I don't lose my train of thought and don't have to ask you to go over the question again.
All right, sir.
Um, it is if your profile is good, that works like magic because it saves recruiters the recruiter time to start reviewing tons and tons of applications. So I think I should put that caveat out. If your profile is solid, then that works like magic because it helps the recruiter um, to engage you faster without having to have to just go through tons and tons of applications. So um, I want to believe that answers your question. Is there any other
Yes,
angle I didn't pay
yes,
attention
sir.
to?
I
Okay,
think
that answers.
that works for me. The second
But
question,
I should mention again, sorry, like I've said, that sometimes you don't have the opportunity to know somebody in house. That doesn't mean that you have no hope. Like I said, all the roles that I've worked on, all the jobs I've worked on, I didn't know anybody in house recommend me. So I thought I would also put that out. The second question.
all right, thank you very much, sir. Um, the second question I want to ask is, I also have interest in in-house role, and then I've kind of do some background study on some areas that I'm interested in. So I don't know because like how do one start application process? Because most of these organizations they don't actually advertise role, they don't advertise. But then, year in year out, you keep seeing new people either through NYC or maybe through any other means they join. But then I don't know like is it that one have to submit physical applications or you have to like search for their emails? Because I've been trying and looking around, and then that is one aspect of the question. Another aspect is that most of these in-house organizations, I mean, most of these companies that take in-house counsel, you see that they are looking for people with experience. And then, like beginners like us, who don't have the experience. So is it that you wait until you have the experience that matches the role before you apply, or you just apply regardless?
Okay, so this your second question is two in one, and I've forgotten the first one. So that's like taking questions one after the other. But let me answer the second one, then you can go over the first one again. So the second one is many of the in-house legal roles, I would believe you are asking, they require experience. Does this mean that there's no hope, blah 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 blah? This doesn't mean there's no hope. Some organizations, if they see that you actually have solid prospects, your profile looks good, they might be willing to bend their requirement in terms of they were looking for someone with 4 years or 5 years of experience and you just have two, but the profile looks really good. They might be willing to bend it. That's number one. Number two, I put out a post sometime either January or last year that there's a rule for everyone. That's just the simple truth. You have 1 year experience, there's a role for you. You have zero experience, there's a role for you. It's just that the roles for entry level might not be as much as experienced hires. Not they might. In Nigeria, I know they are not as much based off observation. I don't have any solid data, but of course, my eyes are open. I see, and in fact, in my organization too, I can make informed decision based on what is obtainable in my organization. Organizations have worked with generally actually. So, but that doesn't mean that there are no entry levels at all. And why did I say that? Don't focus on what you can control. Focus on what you can control. Don't focus on opportunities that are limited. That these organizations are mostly looking for experienced hires. The fact that there are a few organizations that have few opportunities, or that there are actually limited few opportunities that exist for entry level roles, means that you have a chance. You just need to now focus on what you can control, which is the quality of your application, the quality of your competence level, right? Such that even if you are competing against 20, 30, 40, 50 people for a role, you will stand tall as amongst one of the people that are literally in consideration to be given that role. So I think that's how you should approach that. Focus on what you can control. Yes, there are limited opportunities available for my profile, my kind of experience level bracket. I should focus on the fact that I put myself forward as one of the candidates that should be given the role. So that's your second question. I hope that I answered that satisfactorily. What's the first one?
Yes, yes, sir. I was asking on the procedures to send application out to organization, because most of the time you see that you don't advertise some of these rules, but you see people getting.
Okay,
So
so yeah, that's a good one. Um, on advertising, I think I should also mention that what we mean sometimes by they don't advertise is we are saying we don't see it on LinkedIn. That they don't advertise on LinkedIn doesn't mean that it's not on their career page. There's some organizations that they advertise their roles via career page. Some actually advertise their roles via newspaper. Some organizations that actually still use the mass media newspaper to advertise their roles, especially those very old organizations. It's like some very old oil companies, I think they still do that. So that's another thing you want to pay attention to. So that they are not advertising it via social media doesn't mean they're not advertising it via mass media. That they are not advertising it via LinkedIn job alerts doesn't mean they're not advertising it on their career page. Some organizations post opportunities via Twitter. That's where they are HR professional, they are recruiter. That's the platform that he likes posting roles. Or probably it's even a founder-led organization, and the founder is still the one who runs a lot of hiring. Many founders, especially for tech companies, they do a lot of posting roles via Twitter. I've observed that. So you probably want to be part of the Nigeria tech Twitter community. I think there's something like that where literally your Twitter feed will be filled with um, information about the Nigerian tech community or the African tech community, whatever scope you're looking out for. So I thought to mention that. Then to now actually address your question, if you've actually observed that they really probably do not post roles, which in some cases some organizations don't, what you can probably do then is to coach yourself, or to sell yourself rather, not put yourself, sell yourself to founders, to recruiters, to one set of people that we really don't pay attention to is to professionals that are actually in your field, your line. Sell yourself to them too. So you're a lawyer, for instance, you're a legal practitioner, you're a compliance person, you're a regulatory person, for instance. Sell yourself to actual legal people in those organizations, regulatory people in those organizations, government relations people in those organizations, compliance people in those organizations, right? Such that many times they know when there's an opening in their department, and then they can always say, oh, whilst HR people we can forget, we most likely would have forgotten, because there's a whole lot of people that reach out to recruiters because they just feel recruiters, we are the alpha and omega of everything. And because there are quite a number of people that reach out to us, there's the tendency for us to forget that, oh, Stephen actually reached out. but many people are not paying attention to those people that are in that field. So there are just a few people that reach out to them. They will most likely be able to remember that, oh, I have this guy that actually reached out, as opposed to we that there's a whole lot of people that we can't remember. So I think that would be my advice. Sell yourself to those people that actually matter in those organizations. Emails, code emails, LinkedIn, Twitter, whatever platform. Just sell yourself and sell yourself. There's an art to doing that as well. Let me just mention that. Focus on what you can deliver. Don't just send something generic. Focus on actual need. Focus on this aspect of your profile, of your experience that they would actually find useful. Let it be bullet point of actual value that you can deliver, of actual skill that are relevant for the role that you're putting yourself for. So that's another masterclass on its own. How to sell yourself. But one major point that I'm going to share is what I've just shared. Focus on actual value that you can deliver. Don't let your message, your code emails, your code LinkedIn message, Twitter message, Instagram message, don't let it be generic. Focus on what really matters. Lois.
Yeah, thank you so much. Like, I was really taking notes, and then especially when you said focus on in selling yourself, there's an act and a style to do it. Because I know that a lot of people can just enter a lot of recruiters' DMs or founders, and you're just saying generic things that they hear every day. But like you've said, if we're able to list them in bullet points of the actual skills and the value that we can deliver, then maybe we will stand a chance to be chosen and even interviewed. So thank you so much for that. I don't know if there's any other question from the participants. Otherwise, we would like to close this session. Does anyone have any other question? Okay, in the absence of any other question, I want to thank you very much for joining us for this session, and also our guest speaker. We really appreciate you've really demonstrated your passion for helping young lawyers and other career professionals with regard to obtaining their dream roles, how you stayed on this call, and also just like Sandra is saying, that everything you said was really insightful. Like, I've taken so much notes, and then I feel like not just even me in particular, there are things that I'm just hearing for the first time. For instance, I didn't know that you had to reach out to the professionals themselves directly. I was thinking that just the recruiter is enough. That's one of the many insights that I've obtained from this session, and I'm really grateful. We're really grateful that you made time to do this with us. We really appreciate you. And also everyone for joining. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.